always ask myself, what is my purpose in this world? What is my purpose in this world? And now I know your purpose. I am a soul like the rest of us, living in a human body, having a physical experience in this 3D time space reality. I am passionate about so many different things, but mostly these days, in the last few years, really passionate about helping people to realize how powerful they are. And if someone has a dream, it's absolutely theirs. It's yours to have it, and you can absolutely have anything you want. And it's been my mission to help people to go after what they want and to realize it, achieve it, manifest it. I call myself a manifestation coach, but they're all the same. Goal achieving, manifesting dreams, it's all the same thing.
That's perfect. So I'm just really curious, what got you started on this mission? What was your impulse to do this?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. And one thing that comes to mind is that for people who think about purpose, because that was me for many, many years, like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? There's something more to this life. I don't want to just live and die and just make money to pay my bills. And there must be something bigger and greater here. And I was just so impatient to find that mission. And if someone watching this, listening to this, and that's you, I want you to be patient. You are where you are, and it's perfect where you are. So, my life, moving to different countries, different relationships, different career, different businesses, took me where I am here right now, which I feel like it's perfect. I love it. I'm on purpose. It's my mission. But it was through a long journey. It was through not giving up and following my heart. So, you asked me what took me here, really following my heart and not settling, not conforming just for the sake of being like everyone else, and really be okay with being the black sheep of the family, being different, failing, quote unquote, I call it, because there's no such a thing as failure if you keep going. You only fail if you stop. So what took me here was following my heart, following my passion. I'm originally from Middle East. I'm Persian. I'm from Iran, and I moved out of Iran when I was 22 years old. I lived in Europe for few years, and then I moved to Canada. I live in Canada now, Toronto, Canada. I've just always been curious. I've always been interested in the mind. And I remember when I was younger, I heard that majority of people use only 5 to 8% of their mind. And I was like, wow, what is this mind that we have done so much only using 5 to 8% of it? Imagine using 20% of it or 50% of it. I've always been a curious soul. And then I read a lot of books about the mind, power of mind, subconscious mind. I stumbled upon Abraham Hicks YouTube videos many years ago, like 20 years ago. Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, she's a channeler. She channels an energy entity, and she's amazing. And that, I think, was my first experience in spirituality, kind of. And then I watched the movie The Secret, about the law of attraction. I absolutely fell in love with the idea and just, following the breadcrumbs. And in terms of my career, I always knew that I was an employee for 2, 3 years, but I always knew that I want to have my own business. I want to have my own thing, be my own boss, have my own schedule. So I didn't last in a corporate life for more than 2, 3 years. I was thinking, what can I do without going back to university? And that was real estate. It was relatively easy to get into a real estate industry here in Canada. I got my license, started real estate, and I started making a lot of money when I took Bob Proctor's coaching. Prior to that, I was really struggling in the business. Took Bob Proctor's coaching, and Bob Proctor, for people who are not familiar, he was one of the teacher in the movie The Secret. Was one of amazing teachers who talked about law of attraction and the mind and personal development and also spirituality. That helped my real estate business a lot. And then I fell in love with his teachings, and I didn't like real estate anymore. So again, I followed my heart, quit real estate a few years ago, and started teaching Bob's wisdom for a few years now, for 4 or 5 years now.
Right. So that's really an interesting journey. So were you always curious and reading these spiritual books, or was it later in life when you're like, I don't like this corporate world, I need to go to do my own thing, then you found more challenges there? Like, what was that spark? Like, was that the curiosity that really led to those breadcrumbs?
Yeah, I feel like as long as I remember, since like preteen, I was always interested in spirituality and personal development. I was always reading books. I never thought this is going to be my career, going to have a business out of it. It was just a hobby for me. I was always curious. Yeah, I think the curiosity took me here.
Yeah, I really agree with that. That curiosity is the key because a lot of people aren't curious, is what I'm finding. They're settling. They're like, this is my life. They don't explore like, why am I doing this corporate job? Why am I doing this? They're not stepping back and asking them that themselves, what's going on here? What is my life purpose? This doesn't feel like I was born to do this. So how do we break ourselves out of these traps?
I remember when I was in a corporate world for a short period of time, I had a colleague and we all used to have our own cubicle and we sit there every day in front of a computer, do our own boring thing. And that colleague of mine, she's been in that cubicle for 20 something years. And I was like, just shoot me in the brain. I cannot do this. Be in the same cubicle 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 2 decades, for over 2 decades. And she was okay with that, apparently. And she was waiting for her retirement. She was saying, like, I'm gonna stay here for another few years and then I'll have my pension plan. And I never understood this concept. That's playing too small. If you think about it, like I'm from Middle East, I'm from a third world country, and women in my country, especially when I was growing up at that time, working and making money was not a thing for women. We were supposed to get married. And here I am. I have a business and I have clients, like really high profile clients that I help them teach them how to make money. And I always say, if I could do this, each and every one of you can do that and follow your dreams. We are much more powerful than we believe we are. Just stop looking at society and what everybody else does and go within and ask yourself. This is what Bob, my mentor, asked many, many times. That was the question he asked always. What is it that you really want? So the change start with asking great questions. Questions are powerful. When you ask powerful questions, your mind goes after finding the answers. Ask yourself, that is the very first step. What is it that you really, really want? Don't worry about the how. Don't stop because the mind immediately, as soon as you ask this question, the mind goes to how. But I don't have the degree, I don't have the finances, I don't have the support, I don't have that supportive partner. Stop the mind, just become a little bit playful. Ask yourself, what is it that I really, really want? And you would be surprised, Baba Sam, so many people don't know that, don't know the answer to that question because they've been living for so many other people. They've been living for their parents, for their children, doing what they are supposed to do. So everything starts from really understanding what makes your heart happy. And if you're looking for purpose, and looking back now, I'm like, I always ask myself, what is my purpose in this world? What is my purpose in this world? And now I know your purpose is whatever that makes your heart happy. It does not need to be monumental. It does not to be life changing. What makes you happy? You are here to follow your heart. If there is an interest, a passion that you have in your heart, there is a reason God put that passion in your heart. It's because it's yours. So ask yourself, what is it that you want? And the way will show itself to you.
Yes, that's a really great question. Then you brought up another question I always ask people. That's maybe too difficult for people. What is it that you really want? They can even answer the question, what makes you happy? I'm really surprised when I ask people this question, what makes you happy? And they don't have an answer. They're just like looking at me puzzled. Do you find that as well?
Oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so interesting to me that I always ask people, my followers, people that are in touch, what do you want me to offer? Because I like to deliver content that is valuable to people. They want to learn how to make more money or have better career or better relationships. The majority of people, they just want to be happy and they're not happy. You would be surprised, a really big percentage of people are not happy. And they don't know what makes them happy because that's not a question they ever ask themselves. So if you never ask that question, you don't know the answer because we think very small. We get caught up in paying the bills and paying the mortgage. We don't have time to think about what makes us happy. And that's such a wrong way of living. You might think if, well, music makes me happy, but I cannot go after music and make money. Who says that? There are musicians who make a really good money, and there are musicians who don't. But making money also, that's what I learned from my mentor, Bob Proctor. Making money doesn't have anything to do with following your passion. You can have multiple source of income and also follow your passion. So yes, happiness is a big thing. I was just at a brunch with a few friends, and one of the friends she's really doing amazing in terms of family, relationships, business, but she's not happy and she doesn't know why. The majority of time, the reason why is because we are in the wrong career. We're in a wrong relationship. We've just settled down a few years ago because we were too scared to move on and change things. Because change is scary, but it's worth it. Absolutely worth it. So we have to become comfortable with change. And I don't know if your audience or anyone who's watching this, or even yourself, you believe in astrology or not. This year, specifically 2025 onward, there's going to be a lot of changes, like on a global scale and individual. So one thing I want everybody to become comfortable with is the change. And Bob said change is the only constant. Change is the only constant. Look at the nature, it's changing all the time. And if you're not changing, if your life is not changing, if everything looks the same as 5 years ago, your life becomes stagnant. And of course, you're not going to be happy. No one's going to be happy in a stagnant situation and energy.
Yeah, happiness is a big part of our journey. All the great teachers about talk about this from, Esther Hicks to Bashar. All these teachers talk about feeling good and not concerning herself with the how. That's not the mind's job, is to figure out how. It's actually a misuse of the mind.
That's absolutely true. The how is up to the universe, God, infinite intelligence, whatever you believe in, the creator who has created this whole universe, which is functioning so perfectly. Look at we are on a globe in the middle of nowhere, in perfect proximity to the sun and the moon. And we don't need to control the sun. We don't need to control the moon. We don't need to control the seasons. Everything is functioning and working perfectly. I feel like we just need to let go a little bit, let go of the control a little bit, let go of fear a little bit. Trust that creator, that source, that energy who has created this whole world, created you. Your heart is pumping on in your chest without your control. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to plan about it. We need to have more faith. We need to have more faith. We are safe. We are good. We're always going to be okay. Just follow your dream, follow the breadcrumbs. If something shows up for you in your life and you feel like that's interesting, follow that. That's how you improve your intuition. Little nudges, follow those little nudges. That's how you're going to find happiness.
Yeah, you brought us some really good points here so far today, but a lot of people have a hard time letting go of control. How do we begin this process of letting go?
It's so funny. We were having this conversation at the brunch today, and we're all women, and I feel like maybe it's harder for women. I feel like we want to be in control, want to control everything, and it comes from ego. Control comes from your ego. You think you know better than everyone else, and you want to control the situation. And again, it's lack of faith. When you zoom out, like zooming out always helps. Zoom out and look at the whole universe. Look how tiny the planet Earth is in the middle of the galaxy and in the space, tiny, minuscule. And then us as individuals, tiny. And we want to control things. That's thinking small. We need to understand and believe in the higher power that is helping you stay alive, the higher power that is pumping your heart in your chest. Believe that everything works out the way it is supposed to. And how much can we really control things? Not much. Life happens. Relationships happen, breakups happen. If you're an employee, you might be let go. I mean, there is not much that we can control. That's an illusion. That's just an illusion. So it comes from understanding. Everything comes from understanding and knowledge, really understanding who you are, the essence of us, which is soul, which is connected to our higher power, and that we are here on this planet Earth to experience this life for a very short period of time. And we're not here to control things. We are here to follow our heart and also to become a better version of ourselves. Because we are talking about happiness and following our heart, which I love. But that's, to me, I think, at least it's my personal opinion, it's not the only purpose of life. The other purpose of life is to become better version of ourselves. Each and every one of us came to this world with baggage from past lives. If you don't believe in past lives, that's totally fine. No one is perfect, right? We all have things that we need to work on. And so focus on that, because if when you start working on yourself and becoming a better version of yourself, believe me, everything else around you changes. The only thing you need to control is you. And the only power that you have, only person you actually can control is yourself. So control your mind, control your thoughts, control your limiting beliefs, control your fears, control your jealousy, control your negative thoughts, negative words. That's the only control you need to have in life. And based on the law of vibration and law of attraction, when you work on yourself and you become a better version of yourself, your whole world changes. The world is a reflection of your inside. So control only works on yourself. You can't really control anyone. Look at people who are in relationships and they're trying to control their partner. I always ask, how is that working out for you? Chaos, just chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that way you framed that. About letting go is basically the ego, the mind trying to control things. So what I like to do is remind people that we're either in the mind or that we're here in this moment. We can't be two places at once, you could say. So the mind's really going wild. You need to let go. It's like, okay, where am I standing? Where are my feet? Keeping it very simple. And that's a real,
Also,
yes.
yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Also, it comes from fear.
Hmm.
So ego has a lot of fear. That's why we want to control things, because we are afraid of what if something goes out of control and the way that I don't like it. So I'd better control it before it gets out of hand. So again, what is the opposite of fear? Faith. Have faith that you don't need to control things. There is a higher power that is working at all times in the background. And there are so many practices we have to do every day. Like, it's not by listening to this podcast once and then you're going to be like, okay, great, I got it. I have to let go and then you'll be fine. No, it's like a daily practice, daily meditation, daily self talk, understanding, studying yourself, studying the universe, studying the mind, like being not like all day every day, even few minutes a day meditating. What is meditation? You close your eyes and you observe your thoughts. So you said something beautiful before we started recording. If you're not your thoughts, who are you then? How do you know? How do you create a space between you and your thoughts? One way to do that is meditation. Because when you meditate, people think meditation is like absolutely quieting the mind. That's perfect if you get there, but it's not necessary. When you observe your thoughts and you just let them go, oh, this is a thought I am thinking. When you become conscious of what you're thinking about, then you're not that thought anymore because you're observing the thought. And that helps a lot in control, not letting go, understanding that you're not your thoughts, your consciousness.
Right, exactly. That's why I have my background on purpose, that we are the sky, but we get lost in the clouds, which is our thoughts.
I love that. That's one of the ways that I teach my clients to meditate. Close your eyes and try to visualize a blue sky. And when a thought comes, exactly as your background, it's just a cloud. Look at the thought as a cloud and just let it go. You don't need to cling to that thought. You don't need to stay with that cloud. Let that cloud go.
Right. Yeah. Just you're creating gaps in the thought stream. The more gaps, the more inner peace. And that's all we're trying to do is just increase the gaps. But you said something very profound with people to understand that we're afraid to let go. We have all this fear about letting go because it means you're going to give up control, a false control that you really don't have.
Yes, absolutely. It's so funny to me now because that was, and it resonates with me because that was me. That was me trying to control everything, trying to control my life, trying to control my, I give you a little bit of a personal story, my relationship. And I realize it is not working anymore and it's falling apart. But I was trying to keep everything and I was trying to control the situation because I had another relationship that failed. So I didn't want this one to fail. And although I knew things have changed and it's the energy is not the same, I'm not the same, he's not the same, things are not the same. I was like, I was in denial and I was controlling the situation and the rug was pulled under from under my feet and was like, no, this is where you need to go. This is not working anymore. So it doesn't matter how much you want to control things, there is a higher power. So I like to talk about this concept because people think, I want to ask you actually, do you think we have free will or everything is destined and pre-written?
No, I definitely tell people destiny is not fixed. If destiny was fixed, I would never have healed myself. Destiny is fluid. Life is fluid. Nothing is stagnant. The only thing that gets stagnant is the mind caught in the loop, the same thought patterns over and over again.
Right. I love this concept that I learned recently that, like, let's talk about like my example, my relationship. I didn't want things to end up, but it did. It was not in my control. And he didn't want it either, but it did. So to me, that was out of my control. That was out of his control, my ex control. That was the direction that we had to go. Like it was out of our control. So to me, that was destiny. And a concept that I learned recently, I hope it makes sense to your audience and yourself. It's a little bit uh, out of this 3D world, but I love to share it. So we, based on this concept, a lot of spiritual teachers and modalities believe in that Neville Goddard says that creation, and so many different religions, that creation is finished. They say God created the world in 7 days in so many religions. And I'm not a religious person, but different spiritualities also, they say creation is done, it's finished. Everything that will be invented in the future is already here energetically. Everything energetically is created already. Your destiny, my destiny, everything is created already. But we have infinite, infinite parallel lives. Every life is pre-written. Every life, every destiny is pre-written, but there are multiple, infinite, different parallel lives. And based on our choices, based on our decisions, and especially when in hard times. That's why I love hard times. That's why if you're watching this, you're going through hard times, really use this opportunity. When you're going through dark night of the soul, when you're going through something difficult in your health, in your relationship, in your finances, depending how you treat that situation and what decisions you make decisions out of fear, you make decisions out of faith, you tap into a different parallel life which has a different destiny. So we do have both. Destiny is pre-written and we also have free will based on the choices we make. Like if you are here and you're experiencing a really difficult situation and you make a decision based on fear, you might end up in a lower destiny, lower parallel life with a different destiny. If you make a decision based on faith with courage and understanding your soul, you might end up here with a different destiny, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love to talk about this too, that there's infinite timelines here. So when you're talking about past lives before, that's still here in this moment because everything is right here, right now. It's all this quantum entanglement that quantum feels at. Because I'm seeing this often in my healing work where these different timelines are bleeding into this experience that are not very helpful. So we need to isolate them. And that's a good way to think of it. I never thought of that. Destiny is fixed if you're staying on that one timeline, but you can choose based on our vibration if we go up or down on those timelines.
Absolutely. And we are doing that all the time. Bashar, you mentioned Bashar. Bashar says that you
Yeah,
are choosing different timelines in every second, less than a second. He said many hundreds of times in a second based on your vibration. But we don't feel that. We feel time as linear, past, present, future. That's just the way our mind functions because that's how we can function in this world. But there is time is an illusion. In this whole universe, there is no past and future. Absolutely right. It's an infinite present moment.
exactly. So I was just losing my thought here, but the thing is that I'm thinking of is if we're staying on the same timeline, because the mind is caught in this loop, then we'll always stay on that path. So once again, it's that settling and breaking that settlement site. Okay, what can I do to feel good in this moment? Raise the vibration, change the timeline.
And also, so what I am learning recently, I'm taking some spiritual classes. What I'm learning is specifically when you're going through a hardship, when you're going through hard times, if you want to end up on a better timeline, on a higher timeline, you need to learn to respond, not to react. So being reactive, being losing your control, saying bad words, becoming angry, or going after instant gratification, these are being reactive. When you're being reactive, you end up in a lower vibration. We want to be godlike. I say God, but there is just so many different meanings and heavy things to God. Means a universe, a creator, higher intelligence. We need to be like that, like the source of love and light. Even in the hardest time of your life, if you can connect with that source of love and light and ask yourself, how can I be a little bit more of like love and light and let go of my negativity, let go of my negative traits a little bit, because these are hard. It's not like you become perfect in one day. As you are doing that, you step into a higher, better timeline. So it is not always about, because some people hear that and they're like, oh, I need to be happy all the time. And if I'm not happy, then I cannot manifest or things are going to go wrong. No, we have all the emotions. We're human beings, but it's about awareness. It is about understanding that you don't want to stay on that low frequency for too long. And more important than being happy or not, to me, with the knowledge that I have at this time, it is more important to understand how can I become a better version of myself than how can I stay happy all the time. That's just so much more value to that. How can I become a better version of myself? How can I become more giving, more loving, more compassionate, more understanding, more giving, loving, compassionate towards myself, first of all, and then others? And that doesn't mean let go of your boundaries. That's another subject. But just how can I become a better version of myself? Just ask yourself that question when you're going through a hard time, especially, then you end up on a better timeline.
Yeah, it's a really good important point that I was just considering here, responding versus reacting. If we're reacting, we're becoming an unconscious creator. If we're responding, we're becoming a deliberate creator. So it's about pausing, making the right choices for us.
Absolutely. I learned that from my mentor, Bob Proctor. So when I took his program, actually, as I mentioned, I took it when I was in real estate, and I took it to help with my real estate clients' money, which it did. But it also, so the program is so beautiful. It changes you as a human being, and then your results change. I, when I took that program, I was not expecting to see this change, but this happened to me that I was not reactive anymore. And I was more responsive. If something bothered me, if my ex bothered me, I would pause. And there is so much power in that. There is so much power in responding and not reacting. You feel so much more confidence. There's always time to respond. Just pause. I love this pause. Everything you want to do, pause. Someone annoys you, just pause for 2 seconds. You want to say something, just pause. There's so much power in that.
Yeah, just to put that gap into the thought stream and just say, what is the better choice to make here in this moment? So you said something I want to dive into a little bit because I'm always curious about this when I hear Dark Night of the Soul. What does this mean to you?
Oof. Heavy subject. It means when you're going through something that it seems like nothing is working, seems like you are in a dark, deep hole and you can't get out of that hole. It's like a lot of negative emotions, a lot of negative thoughts, depression, sadness, anxiety, and that usually happens right before something amazing is about to happen. Why do we go through that? That's really important to understand. There is no one is punishing you if you're going through dark night of the soul. It's actually a beautiful opportunity. It doesn't look like it. It looks like punishment, but it is an opportunity for your soul to grow. I always give this example that if you sit on your couch, you're not going to get six packs. If you don't go to the gym, if you don't work out, you're not going to get six packs. You're not going to grow muscles. How do you grow muscles? How do muscles really grow? When you go to the gym and you work out so hard to the level that you break the muscle. The muscle literally need to be broken in order to expand and become bigger. The exact same law works for our soul. Your soul needs to break in order to become bigger and better. There's a Persian poet. He says, the light enters where the wound is. If you think about it, if your life is kind of like this, nothing happens, everything is kind of okay, you're not going to grow, your soul is not going to grow, your mindset is not going to grow, your personality is not going to grow. It's only through hardships that you get to a deeper layers of who you really are and you connect with the deeper meaning of life. When do we think about meaning of life? Not when everything is great and rosy and we're on vacation on the beach. We don't think about the meaning of life when we're at the beach. We think about this concept, we think about meaning of life, we think about our soul, we think about our mission, our purpose when we're going through really, really hard times. So dark night of the soul, like it seems like it's the end of life. It is like nothing is working and it's hardship. It is hardship. It is pain. It is disappointment. It is anxiety. And it feels like it's gonna continue forever, but it is not. It will end and things will change. They always do. I love this sentence and I'm I should get a tattoo. This too shall pass. This too shall pass, good or bad. Even if you're going, and that's one of the laws that Bob talks about, rhythm, law of rhythm. When you're in a downswing, know that the upswing will come. So that makes you feel better. And also when you're on an upswing, know that the down is gonna come. That's how life works. That's how nature works. That's how everything functions. That's one of the laws of the universe. So yeah, I'm like it's the dark night of the soul is one of the hardest time of life, but it is also one of the most beautiful because you're gonna get out of that. It's like literally the phoenix. Phoenix dies and reborn. You reborn a better, stronger version of yourself. That's the only way. If you want to become a better, stronger version of yourself, you're going to have to go through some, you don't need to go through dark night of the soul and absolutely be devastated, but you're going to go through some hard times if you want to improve yourself and become a better version of yourself.
Right. So I see it more as the dark night of the mind. I see the soul as the light of the universe. It can never go dark. However, it can become cloudy and appear dark because of the mind on overdrive, overthinking, getting into negativity, lots of scenarios. But I really like to see that the soul is that light. If we can't see our light, then the mind is being consumed. So I really like to see that it's really the dark night of the mind. The mind is the source of the issues. The soul is trying to guide you out of that.
Yeah, well, the term is dark night of the soul, but maybe me and you should change the term dark night of the mind, because the soul is pure light and the mind makes you feel like everything is dark. And it's a lot of, it has to do with not being present.
Mhm.
It has to do with either having regrets about the past or anxiety about the future. So you only feel not good when you're either in the past or the future. If you come to the present moment, you're breathing, you have a roof on your head, everything is fine. So it's the mind. Yes, you're absolutely right. I love that.
Yeah, I've created videos on this because one of the things that get my attention is because we have to really focus where the source of the issue is. It's always a mind issue, a thinking issue, a reactive issue. It's not the soul is connected to all that is. It's that illuminating that path where we don't have to figure anything out. We just have to let go, as you talked about, just let go and just trust that deeper essence, allow it to pull you into that direction.
Yes, the soul is pure light, is pure love, is all knowing, and it has all the answers. We do have, we are the soul living in a body, and we do have the mind as well, which is very powerful, and it can take over if we let it.
Yes, we get to these reactionary states of mind, the mind does take over. And unfortunately, a lot of people are living that way in a reactive world and society. And we need more of you to remind us, hey, there's a way out of this. We can live our dreams. We can dream bigger. We can create this reality that we wish to create. So we're talking before the show that you have this workbook on wealth manifestation. I think that can help in many areas, maybe to let go, because I think it's probably part of the wealth manifestation is letting go of control. So can you talk to us more about this workbook that you have for everyone?
Yeah, of course. I have created this just recently based on teachings of Bob Proctor, my mentor. And well, creating wealth, everything has to do with letting go of the mind and limiting beliefs. One of the things that Bob talks about and I teach is paradigm. And paradigm is your subconscious mind and limiting beliefs specifically that you have in your subconscious mind. So one of the things we should learn to let go is let go of those limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs. We inherited those limiting beliefs through genetic and also through our upbringing. And we have to let that go, but we have to first become aware of what are our limiting beliefs. But that workbook specifically, that's a wealth manifestation, and it's for people who want to create more wealth, more money, more better finances in their life. And it helps them to understand, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, what is it that you really want? So we have to become clear about, if we talk about wealth, if you ask the majority of people, 97% of people, they say, I want more money. That's not clear. Your mind is going to find $1 on the street and it's going to be, there you go, more money. How much? How much do you really want? So that workbook helps you understand clearly what amount of money you want. What is it that you really want? And there's so much resistance when we talk about money. And I want to break that, because money is just a tool. If you're a good person, it's just a tool that help you expand your service. It's a tool like everything else. So there's nothing wrong about money. So that workbook helps you understand what is it that you want and what kind of business service you want to deliver to receive that amount of money in return. You earn money, you don't make money. You earn money through service, through product, through what you deliver, through value. And then it helps you through some questions for your mind to start working and understand, okay, how do I manifest this amount of money. And the workbook also helps you understand some of your limiting beliefs and patterns and how to break those. And it also has one of the most powerful money affirmations that Bob used for, God knows, 50, 60 years. And he taught so many different people. And that's a powerful, powerful affirmation that is in the workbook. Yeah, I can send you the link and it's free and people can download it, enjoy it, spend half an hour in a quiet place and really go through that. It's going to help you with your finances.
So like if they have questions, how would they reach out to you?
So I am on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Helia Ogani, my first name and last name. They can reach out to me through all these amazing platforms. I still have an Instagram account, but I'm not active on Instagram anymore. On Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Okay, great. So people can reach you there. Is there anything that we haven't covered today? I think it's important for our listeners to understand.
Just what we talked about, it's so important to me to help people to understand that there is no coincidence and it's not random. What you want is not random. If you want something, if you're curious about something, like I know people who've been thinking about starting a business and they know what business exactly they want, and they've been thinking about it and talking about it for over a decade. Please just go for it. The fact that you want something, it is not random. We all want different things. Like someone want to do the things that they want has to do with art. Someone wants marketing. Another person wants to be a coach. Another person wants to be a yoga teacher. We all want different things. There is a reason you want something. The creator didn't put that in your heart if it was not yours. So know that it is yours, that fulfillment of that desire is calling you. That's why you feel it. So go after it because that's going to be the biggest regret. Like if you they talk to people who are on hospital beds and the biggest regret that they have is that they didn't go after their dream. So please go after your dream. If I could do it from Middle East, not having any, business background or anything else and being a business owner and having amazing clients, you can do it too. You can, absolutely 100%. So please go after your dreams. That's my last message.
That's beautiful, Halia. I really enjoyed having our conversation today. It's very powerful, will inspire to a lot of people that dream big. This is our one life. Let's make the most of it. So thanks again for joining us on the conversation.